So we're sitting ringside. Do you feel like this victory would bring you closer to Canelo fight, or maybe not?
I don't know, bro. You guys keep asking me about that fight, and I know as much as you guys. I mean, I would love to fight Canelo. It would be a massive, massive fight, but Canelo says that he has other things, and he says I'm being too mean in the way I'm approaching him. So
you don't want to face monsters.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I got to work on my attitude.
How's it going, everyone? Hope you guys are all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. So obviously yesterday we saw a brilliant fight between David Benavidez and David Morrell. And it really got me thinking into the Canelo situation. And I felt like I had to make a video on it. And obviously before we get started, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. But yeah, I definitely wanted to bring a little bit of context into this video. Obviously you guys have seen the title. And I think the most important thing, I think a lot of these topics, I think people always go from, one side of the spectrum to the other. So I think, people that think, Canelo Alvarez is not ducking David Benavidez will say that Canelo Alvarez is the best fighter of all time, face of boxing, and you basically just can't criticize or say anything wrong. Whereas the guys that are critical of Canelo Alvarez, sit there and basically pretend like Canelo's not a good fighter. He's fought no one. Benavidez would knock him out in a few rounds. I don't really like to go from, each side of the spectrum. I like to find, that balance in the middle. And really, that's actually where I'm at. I actually am in the middle. I think that Canelo Alvarez over the years has been a brilliant fighter. He's had some massive fights. Obviously, we remember the Golovkin fights. He fought Floyd Mayweather when he was 23 years old. So from that point of view, I don't think that Canelo Alvarez is necessarily scared to take a risk. But I think that it is pretty evident, especially based off of that performance last night. Canelo Alvarez is just running away from David Benavidez. I'm sorry. I know that there's a lot of Canelo Alvarez fans. And like I said, Canelo Alvarez is a very good fighter, but he is just running away from David Benavidez. And I think that there's really nowhere to hide at this moment in time because Benavidez is basically just going through everyone. I think I did look at this situation a little bit different when Benavidez was on the come up. And he didn't really have those big names on his resume. Who was the best guy on David Benavidez's resume at the time? Maybe an Anthony Jarrell, David Lemieux. His resume was just not that deep. But at this moment in time, beat up Caleb Plant, beat David Morrell, who's a very good, young, tough, undefeated fighter. Moved up in weight, beat Vosdik. I know it wasn't the Vosdik that Beterbiev beat, but David Benavidez seems like he wants to fight anyone. And I think that, looking back in years to come, if Canelo Alvarez does not fight David Benavidez, then this is a really, really bad look for Canelo Alvarez. I think that Canelo Alvarez is someone that has always picked and choose its opponents, similar to a Floyd Mayweather. But I think that if David Benavidez goes on to have an outstanding career, and we look back and Canelo Alvarez never fought that guy, I think that's just such a bad look. If you look at the last few fights that Canelo has had, Edgar Berlanga, Jamel Charlo, Jaime Munguia, who just got knocked out. These are just subpar opponents. And, Jaime Munguia was winning rounds against Canelo Alvarez. So I think if a Canelo fight against a Benavidez were to happen, at this moment in time, I would make Benavidez a massive favorite. He's so big, he's so powerful, got very good stamina. His jab looked good last night. He's turning into a complete fighter. His footwork is getting better. He's pretty good defensively. I know he did get knocked down, but I do think that was a little bit of a balance thing as well. But I do think that, it's going to be a massive, it's going to be a massive disappointment if we don't get that fight. Kind of what you saw last night. Obviously, David Morrell lost his undefeated record, but David Morrell is getting a lot of respect in defeat. And I think that if, Canelo Alvarez were to fight David Benavidez and go in there with him and lose, and that's the thing, I'm not necessarily sitting here saying that Canelo Alvarez would get knocked out by Benavidez. I think it would be a relatively close fight. And even if Canelo were to win 4 or 5 rounds and lose, he would get a lot of respect from the boxing fans. Remember, Canelo is Mexican. The Mexicans are known for, being brave, being tough, fight anyone. Oscar De La Hoya fought everyone. Oscar De La Hoya fought guys when he was out of his prime. Moved up to fight Bernard Hopkins, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather. Oscar De La Hoya never ducked a challenge. Julio Cesar Chavez fought Oscar De La Hoya when Oscar De La Hoya was on the come up, and Julio Cesar Chavez was getting a little bit older. Like I said, I do think it will be a massive stain on the legacy of Canelo Alvarez if he does not fight David Benavidez. I think, look, this is a guy that has had a great career, but I think there are still question marks about Canelo Alvarez. Yeah, you beat Miguel Cotto, but you didn't beat Miguel Cotto when he was in his prime. You moved up to fight Kovalev. Kovalev was finished at that time. Kovalev only fought Anthony Yarde about 8 weeks ago, and he almost got knocked out by Anthony Yarde in that fight. So I think there are massive question marks about the resume of Canelo Alvarez. Yes, he's fought a lot of good fighters, but he's fought them at the right time. Obviously, lost against Floyd Mayweather and Dimitri Bivol, and obviously there is no shame in that. So this is not a video to discredit Canelo Alvarez. I think he's a very good fighter, but I do think it will be a stain on his legacy if he does not decide to fight David Benavidez. As always, make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Very interested to see what you guys have to say, and I will see you guys on the next video.